we have talked about Python. We talked about amazing jobs coming up. See, one thing is very important. Even in the education system in India, we have seen the changes. We have this new policy, and coding has become one of the most important skills that you need to get a job. Right now, irrespective of which field you want to get into, I feel coding is one of the things which is required for everyone. Now, even if you are getting into, let's say, banking, even if you're going for, let's say, healthcare. In fact, I have seen one of the meme on Facebook that it was a job posting, and then the healthcare department needed a programmer or someone who needs a programmer skill set. So that was weird for me. But then programming is important, right? And one of the best language to learn from base is Python, as we all know. Now, we have also discussed in the last session, using Python, what are the options you have? And one of the amazing field coming up, which is data science, which is there already, but again, it will boom a lot because everything is data, right? So, and then we need to know, how do you manipulate data? How do you play with data? That's important, right? So in this session, we will focus on how can we use Python libraries to get into data science. See, what we have seen in Python till now is the syntax sort of it, right? But then if you want to work with any project, not specific to data science, but in general, with any language, when you work with a project, you use different libraries for it. So I have been working on Java from a long time, and then every time I work on a project, we need to use external libraries. It's not that you will do everything from scratch, right? We don't do that. We use libraries. And if you want to be a good programmer, if you want to make most of your programming skill, I would say start with, okay. So yes, I would say start with libraries, okay? So once you know the syntax, it's important for you to also understand the libraries and how to use it. Okay, so once I mentioned that, let me just share this screen and we'll talk about some important libraries. I also wanted to see my own YouTube video. So Neha, if you can share me in the on WhatsApp, let me just also, I will also check that. Okay, great. Let me just share my screen. And here we go. Let me share my desktop. So I hope you can see my PPT, and let's get started. Now, this will be a hands-on session. This will not be total theory. In fact, I'm not a big fan of slides, but it's important to see the slides, right? Sometimes it's very important to understand the theory before going for the actual practical. So, okay, I can see my screen. That's great. Okay, so before going ahead, I'm watching my video there on my phone. Hit that like button, everyone. It motivates me and the entire team to come up with these amazing sessions, right? So hit that like button and make sure if you have not subscribed the channel yet, please do that. It's very important. Okay, so let's get started. So what are the libraries basically? See, the thing is, when you work on a project, irrespective again of the domain, whenever you work on a project, there are certain features which you need to implement. And maybe those features are very common for everyone. So what we do is, so let's say, if I know there's a feature which everyone wants to use in the world, I will build that feature and I will put that in a library so that in case if you want to use a specific feature, you don't have to rewrite the same library, rewrite the same feature. What you can do is you can use my library. And don't worry, I will make it open source. But yes, there are some paid libraries as well. But most of the projects are happy with open source libraries. Now, when it comes to Python, we have tons of libraries. In fact, one of the reasons why Python got so famous was because of libraries, right? It has library for almost everything. If you need something, just say, hey, Python, I'm looking for this library. Do you have it? And Python will say, okay, someone has built this library. You will get it. Now, some of the libraries are available for Python specifically for data science. Now, coming back to data science, it's more about working with data. It's about creating an actionable event for a particular data, right? So data is very important. And if business wants to thrive in this world, they need to understand the user data which they are dealing with. Now, when you say data, it has multiple attributes to it. See, first of all, what is the data and where you will find it, right? That's very important, right? Even before working on the data, you have to find the data and where you will get the data. Now, there are multiple places from where you will get the data. Of course, for the experiment purpose, we have some amazing websites where you can get your data. In fact, we call them as data set. So when you have the bunch of records with you, we will call them as data sets. Now, for companies, for different companies, they have their own way of fetching this data. Example, let's say Facebook, how they fetch data from their own database because you do share everything with them. Let's talk about your telecom network, let's say Airtel. When Airtel want to have a new launch or new plans, in fact, they also have their towers everywhere. Now, how they know at which place they have to get a mobile tower? It all depends upon their user data, right? So they will scan data and they will understand, hey, this is a place where you will find a lot of users. We need a tower here. And in fact, they are also, it might be the system, right? They also have this amazing, they have this attribute of having more postpaid users. So maybe they want to give more importance to the postpaid user. They can also track in which area we have more postpaid user than a prepaid users, right? So how do they do that? So they have the data in their databases. Some company, they buy data from some other companies. Example, Cambridge Analytica, they scam, which you know. So they took data from Facebook. So this company sell your data as well. But then if you want to experiment, if you want to play with that data, you can go to different websites. One of them is Kaggle. It will give you amazing data sets. In fact, in the hands-on video, hands-on practical, which we're going to do, we will be using the IPL data. Since IPL is on the way, it will make sense to play with IPL again. You know, we all love stats. Even when you watch a cricket, there is someone sitting in the back end, and then they'll be giving you some amazing insights. You know, at this place, this batsman scored more runs than the other grounds, right? So we love those data, right? So we'll try to do that in this hands-on. Now, when it comes to, again, data, so for the first thing is from where you will get data. So all this company, they have data or they can buy data. Now, once you got your data, what's the next step? See, by default, every data will have a lot of noise. Now, what is noise? It's unwanted data or data which will be corrupted. See, not every data which you will receive in data set will be pure, right? It will be having a lot of noise, a lot of garbage. You just have to remove it, right? So that is one thing we do. So once you get a data, you have to purify it. You have to remove the unwanted data. The next thing is you have to process your data, right? You have to process your data so that you can play with it, right? You have to make a group of it out of it. Maybe you want to remove some columns. Possible, right? What if you have, let's say, 100 columns? So you have IPL data, you have batsmen, bowlers, number of matches, let's say man of the match, let's say umpire. Maybe you don't want to know the umpires of a particular IPL game, or maybe the entire data set. You can remove it, right? So you can remove the column as well. You can remove the rows as well. That is also possible. Maybe you don't want to have. Okay, there's just one second. Yeah, so maybe you want to remove the row as well. That is also possible. Maybe you don't want the data of 2016, or there was no match of 2016. Let's say you don't want any data of 2012. You can also do that. You can remove the number of rows you have. So that's the processing part and removing the data. And then the most important thing would be, if you want to show that data to someone, you have to show in a summary, right? No one wants to see all the data. Maybe some data set will have millions of rows and maybe thousands of columns. I don't want to see all data. I just want to see a summary. In that case, the summary can be in a text format, or it can be in a format of an image, or a bar or a pie chart. So we need to do all those things. So first, we need to store data, we need to process data, and we need to represent data. And for that, we need to use some libraries. And on this screen, you can see we have 3 libraries here. One is Numpy. We'll talk about Numpy again. We have Numpy, we have Pandas, and then we have Matplotlib. And you can guess now for what purpose we have these libraries. Just to give you a hint, Pandas and Matplotlib, they both are dependent on Numpy. Okay, so let's get started with this libraries. Now, what is Numpy? In fact, some people also say Numpy. I don't know why they pronounce it Numpy. It's weird, right? Numpy. So Numpy stands for numerical Python. So if you want to do some numerical operations on the data in Python, you can use NumPy. Now, one of the features of NumPy is you can work with arrays. Okay, now the thing is, we can directly use arrays in Python, right? We can say we can use Python arrays, but then what if you want to work with multiple, multiple rows or multi-dimensional array, maybe 2-dimensional or 3-dimensional? In this case, this thing will help you. The NumPy will help you. So using NumPy, you can achieve multi-dimensional arrays, right? And you can also do some processing on that. Example, let's say you have a 2-dimensional array. Maybe you want to multiply two matrices. You can do that. So normally it is used for scientific purpose and stuff. So maybe you want to do some calculation on data, you can use that. So let's take an example here. So let's say we want to use a NumPy and we want to use an array. So basically the syntax is, since you're using a NumPy, which is an external library, you have to first import it. So you can see we got import NumPy as NP. Of course, you can also use NumPy or short form NP. And then you can create an array. So once you get an array, in fact, the same thing you can do it in normal Python as well. But what is interesting is on the right-hand side, you can see we have 2-dimensional array. How do you do that? So you say array, but then you create 2 boxes. So one with 4 values, second with 10 values, and then you got 2-dimensional array, right? The amazing thing is, if you use NumPy, if you want to have an array of, let's say, 50 values or 100 values, and these values you want it to be random, you can do that. You can simply say rand int and pass the values. Let's say 1 to 100, you want 100 values. You can mention 100 there at the end. It will give you 100 random values. In this case, we are saying 5, so we got 5 random values. You can do that. In fact, not just this. What if you want an array of, let's say, 100 values, but then all need to be zeros? You don't have to create an array by saying 0, 0, 0 100 times. You can simply use a function called zeros, right? It will give you that. So let's say if you also want to have a intersection of 2 NumPy. In fact, we will do some experiments later, but as of now, just try to understand the basics. Okay, try to understand the syntax so that once I start typing the code, it should not confuse you, right? So let's say we have 2 arrays, and then you want to find the intersection of it, or you want to see the commonalities. So you can see we have n1, n2. N1 has 6 values, and n2 has 5 values, but then the common values are only 50 and 60 between those 2 arrays, right? I'm talking about the first one. So once you use intersect 1D, you will see we have 50 and 60, which is the common values. What if you want to subtract the array from another one? Example, in this case, you have n1, and you want to subtract n2 from it. So as I mentioned, the common one is 50 and 60. So you can remove that with the help of set difference 8. Okay, got some messages. So questions are started popping up. Okay, don't worry. I will try to answer your questions as much as possible. But before that, let me just take the theory part. Okay, so that's how you do the differences. We will focus more on pandas and matplotlib. That's why we are skipping this. It's very simple, right? In fact, you can do some more operations. What if you have an array which is 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and then you want to add 5? Okay, so it will not add 5 at the end, but it will add 5 to all the values, right? And that's amazing, right? Sometimes you need to do that. You need to have multiple values to change it. So maybe you want to change all the values. You want to subtract 1 from all the values. You can do that. Now these are the basics of NumPy. You can do a lot of different stuff, but due to we have limited time, let's focus on the important aspects or the basic aspects. Now, once you know NumPy, the important thing is, will you store your data in NumPy or somewhere else? See, for basic operations, for scientific operations, simple NumPy works. But then the moment you have huge amount of data with different type of data, and you want to perform multiple operations, that's where we need an extra library. So we have NumPy here, and top of that we have Pandas. Pandas provides you more features than NumPy. And what is Pandas? So Pandas basically stands for panel data. So this word panel data is normally used in economics to represent data. So if you have Pandas, you can use Pandas to manipulate your data. If you want to analyze your data, you can do that. Okay, so So next time when you're watching a cricket match or any match for that matter, maybe football match or some other game, they will give you some stats on your screen. Now that stats are actually coming from this type of libraries. I'm not saying they will be using Pandas only, but they will be using this kind of libraries. Okay, so Pandas does support single and multi-dimensional both. We'll talk about the single dimensional first. So for single dimensional, they have series of objects. Example, let's say you want to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a series, right? Which is one dimensional. But you can also have two dimensional, almost the same as arrays of one dimensional or two dimensional. But then the important word here is for two dimensional array or multi-dimensional array, we say it's a data frame. In short, we can say DF. Most of them do refer to DF, but then you can say data frame. Okay, so data frame is, you can imagine if you have used Excel, which we have rows and columns there. Maybe you have used, what else you have? Let's say you have used SQL. So we have RDBMS there. So we have rows and columns format. You can imagine that as a data frame. Okay. Okay, great. In fact, I will show you the data, one of the Excel file which we are going to use, and it will make much more sense then. Okay, now, as I mentioned, single series are single dimensional. So you can see we have an example here, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then when you print or when you see the output, you will see the series. But then every number will have an index value as well. So in this case, you can see for 1, we have 0, for 2, we have 1. But then you can change it. What if you don't want this index values? You want to something else, something like this. So instead of having index value as 1, 0, 1, we can also have A, B, C, D, E as you want. Syntax wise, the way we have imported Numpy, we have to also import Pandas if you want to use it. If you want to use an synonymous for that, or maybe some what do you say, alias, you can use PD in that case, but you can also use Pandas. But what is more exciting here is, of course, you can do multiple operations with series. What excites me more is data frame, because normally in the real world, we work more with the data, which is multidimensional. We have rows and columns. Okay, now this can be your school mark sheet as well. So we have roll numbers, then we have names, and then we have marks. You know, maybe if you have worked with SQL before, so we file queries on SQL as well, right? We say, I want all the students who got more than 50 marks, right? So you can also do that here. It's fun to work with Pandas and Python because you can do a lot of operations, right? So these are basically your data frame looks like. It is two-dimensional data structure. Now, how do you create a data frame? See, there are multiple ways of getting the data, as I mentioned. You can create a data frame by yourself by entering values. So just for the experiment, as you can see here, we got a data frame, and I have inserted all the values of myself. The syntax is data frame, pd.data frame. In bracket, you have to mention the names and the marks, right? And then you will get a data frame. But in real world, we don't write the values like this. We get data from somewhere, maybe from database, maybe from Excel file, maybe from CSV, from anywhere you can get these files. You can get this data. And once you got the data, you will get a data frame and you can print as you want. And in the real world data, you will not get 3 values or 4 values. You will get tons of values, maybe number of rows, maybe million rows possible, right? Maybe 1,000 rows for the experiment purpose. So you will not get 3 rows there. But what if you want to play with your data? What if you don't want all data? You want to see the top 10. You want to see the ending 10. Maybe you want to see the data overall. In that case, you can use some functions. As I mentioned, Pandas is a library. It provides you with different features. Now, when I say features, they are functions. Now, some of the functions are like this. We have header. So head basically prints the top part. Then we got tail, which will print the bottom part. You can also use describe to describe your data set, right? Okay, don't worry. We will do the practical of this. I just wanted to finish the slides first so that you will get some, you will remember some of the words. Of course, I'm not expecting you to remember all the things which you have talked about till now. That's almost impossible, right? But what's important is maybe if you, even if you remember some of the functions, that would be great for the hands-on. Just need to check if everything is proper in the chat window. Another thing with the online sessions, right? Sometimes we don't even know if the session is continuing, and then you're simply talking in front of your camera, and that's weird. Okay, now the next thing is value counts. Now this is very interesting. So once we start with the hands-on, so what if, let's say we have a data set of plants or flowers. In this case, we have sepal and petal length. Then we have sepal width and petal width, and we also have spaces, right? In this case, if you want to, let's say, count the number of spaces, you can use value counts. In fact, we'll do that in the practical, which will make much more sense. You can also sort your values. You can sort the entire data set. The way you do it on Excel, right? So what you do is you right click and you say sort by values or sort by a particular column. So the same thing you can do it with a function here. So there are a lot of things you can do with Pandas. Again, we will do some of those things in the hands-on, but it's an amazing tool to manipulate data, to sort data, to clean up data. In fact, let's say if you have, let's say 5 columns here, maybe you don't want 5 columns, you want in 3 columns, you can do that. You can remove the last 2 columns. You can remove the middle 2 columns. That's your choice. If you don't want all the rows, you can remove the middle rows by applying some conditions. Okay, now, now the important thing is, once you got your data and you are able to manipulate it, you're able to clean the data. Now you have done the manipulation. I want to see the data on as an image, maybe a bar format or the pie chart format, right? For example, when you watch a cricket match, you can see the bar, right? So this number of overs and every over got this number of scores. So it looks cool, right, to see things in the pictorial format. And if you want to do that, you can use multiple libraries. One of them is matplotlib. We have one more, which is Seaborn, but let's stick to matplotlib for this session. So using matplotlib, it is basically a Python library used for data visualization. So if you want to visualize things, you will use matplotlib. In fact, in the logo itself, they have this amazing image visual element, which is great. So basically, you can create bars, you can create pie charts, histograms. So example, let's say if you want to draw a line. So if you have the data set and if you want to plot it on the graph, you can use with the help of matplotlib. And as I mentioned, for Pandas and for matplotlib, your Numpy is the base library, right? So you can see for matplotlib, we are using Numpy here. And so using this, you can plot a line. In fact, we'll not be plotting a line, we'll be plotting, let's say, a bar or the pie chart with our example. Something like, so we don't have bar example here, that's fine, but we can have a bar, okay, as an example. So now for this diagram, it's not just the line which you will get, you can customize the title as well, you can customize the axis labels as well. So maybe for the axis, maybe you want to say number of overs, each over, and then in the left side, you can have number of runs, right? So for this over, we got 10 runs. For the next over, we got 15 runs. For this over, we got 1 run. So you can do that in the line diagram. Okay, but as I mentioned, you can also use a bar, and you can also use, what else we have? A bar, we can also use pie chart. Now, once you got some details about it, we can actually start with the practical now. So just to reiterate, we have 3 libraries we are going to use, Numpy, Pandas, and matplotlib. So if you want to use a multi-dimensional stuff for scientific purpose, of course, Numpy makes sense. But then if you have a real world data and if you want to do manipulation on data, of course, we need to use some high level library, which is Pandas in this case. And then we can also do data visualization. You can plot the diagrams with the help of matplotlib. Now, once we have shared that, let me just share my things. Before that, let me just stop sharing because I don't want to reveal everything on this print. And that's really weird. Okay, so let me just open. I'm just opening my thing. Okay, first of all, I just want to share something here. Let me share my screen again. And the thing is, I'm not even sure if you can really see the thing. We do some more operations. What if you have? I'm just verifying it on my mobile phone if it is properly visible. The font is very small. That's the actual concern here. Okay, how do I increase the font size? That's weird. Okay, anyway, so even if you can't see the text here, that's fine. I know the font is very small. It's been long. I have used Excel. But still, there should be an option, right? Okay, maybe it is somewhat visible. So the thing is, once you have, so this is the data which we are going to work with. So if you want to do data manipulation, you want some data. It's not like SQL where you will insert 5 rows, 5 columns, and then you can fire SQL queries. We need real-time data, right? So what we got is we got a real-time data. We got IPL data from the Kaggle. So you can just go to. So you can just go to kaggle.com and you can get your data from here. I'm not sure if you can see this screen. Let me share the entire screen again. Okay, so if you want data, you can just go to Kaggle. This is the website from where you will get the real-time data. So the data which we got is of IPL. So you can just search here about whatever data you want. Okay, Pokemon is trending. So if you want data about Pokemon, you can get it here. So you will get Pokemon data, but we want, let's say, IPL. So you can just search for IPL data. And then you can also specify what type of data you want. Maybe you want a small data set, maybe you want a medium size, the type of data you want to work with, CSV or a notebook file, or the XLX. Okay, what else? And then you can also specify which language you want to do this. Maybe you want to do this for R or Python. So you can specify all these things here and you can get your data set. Maybe this is what we are using. I'm not sure. I just forgot which one I downloaded. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So this is where you will get the IPL data. Now, once you have your CSV, as you can see in my system, I do have matches.csv as a file. Now, for people who don't know what CSV means, because see, extensions are very important, right? So CSV stands for comma separated values. So if you have a file and if you want to have multiple values, how do you separate the records? So we have commas. Of course, in the Excel file, you will see everything in row and column format. But if you see this in a raw format, you will see all comma, comma, comma. So all these values are separated by commas. Okay. Okay, great. So now once you have these files, how do we perform the operation on this? Okay, great. Let me just. Let's do that. Okay, now how do you perform the operations? For that, you need to have a place where you will type the code, right? So of course, you can use any software which you want, but since we want to work with Numpy, Pandas, and Matplotlib, it will make sense to use an IDE or a software which provides all these things. So for this session, we are going to use Anaconda. So you need to install Anaconda. It's very simple. Just go to Google and search for Anaconda. Okay, but then it will show you real anacondas. But okay, so you can say Python Anaconda. Or it will, okay, Python Anaconda software. That will make sense, right? I don't want you to scare you by showing you the images of snakes. So make sure that you type Anaconda software, and this is how the logo look like. So you can download this one. Now after downloading, just install it. Simple steps. Now once you got Anaconda installed, you need to also have. I guess it will also install Python with it, even if you don't have Python on your machine. Now once you got Anaconda, let me just open that from scratch, right? It makes much more sense. Yeah. So let me open Anaconda Navigator. Now, once you open it, it may take some time to load, depending upon your machine speed. So my Anaconda is loading. Yeah, we can also use dataset from Google. Okay, now once you got Anaconda Navigator open, so you can see we have multiple options here. So you can use Jupyter Lab, which is amazing. But then let's stick to a simple one, which is Notebook. So we can use Jupyter Notebook here, and let's launch it. So once you click on launch, okay, let me take some time. And that's launched. Great. So once you say launch, it will launch the Jupyter Notebook for you. And if you already have a notebook file, you can open it, but we want to do it from scratch. So let me, okay, what's that? Yeah. So let me create a new file. So what I will do is first of all, I just want to show you where that file is. So this is where the file is, which is matches.csv. So make sure that you have in the same folder so that you don't have to type the entire path. I hate paths, by the way. So let's go back here and create a new notebook file. I will say new Python 3 file, and let's get started. Now, the first thing I always do is I just add 2+2 just to verify everything is working. Or 2+2, so it should be 4. Okay, this is working, so we can continue with the actual examples. Okay, let me just take my face on this screen. Okay, let's get started. Now, for the first step is I want to have that file loaded here, right? And then I also want to use Pandas, so we have to import Pandas, right? So let's do that. So what I will do here is I will say import. Oh, there's been typing. I will say import Pandas as PD. Okay, so of course you can have a different name, and then we will also do the plotting. So we'll say we want matplotlib. So I will say from matplotlib. I don't want all the libraries. I just want to be very specific here. Matplotlib, and then we'll import, let's say, pyplot. Pyplot only one. Yeah, only one will do. And I want to have an anonymous name to it. We'll say PLT. Just 1 second. There is some flickering happening on my system. Okay. Now, once you got your pandas and you got your matplotlib with you, now you can load the CSV and you can perform some operations. So let me just run this code first. So both are available now. We got pandas and we got the plot. Okay, so we got one of the interesting comment from Mukund, and Mukund says, "You are in IT world, so don't hate to write path because it is created your career path." That's right, Mukund. But then see, in IT world we have so many things which we love and which we hate, and unfortunately, I know it should not be something which we hate, but that's something which is very personal to me. I hate the paths. Okay, now once you got this, it's time to load your CSV in this code, right? So let me just load a CSV and then I will say within IPL, how do we load a CSV? See, it's a library, so there will be a lot of functions available, right? So if you want to load the Excel, so we have a read Excel file function. If you want to load a CSV, we have read CSV file. So I will say pd.read CSV. And then in this, you have to mention the file name. So if it is the same folder where you have your notebook file, let me just rename it to IPL NB. Okay, so we can have anything here. So we can have the file name, which is matches.csv. It will load your IPL data. Okay, let me just run this. And oh, there's something went wrong. Oh, my bad. Let me just run this go. Yeah. So once you got your CSV loaded, it's time to print it, right? So I will say IPL, and if you say run, that's your data. Now it's a huge file. Okay, it's very huge file. If I can show you that. So you can see we have almost 36 rows and 18 columns. I know something. So they will be skipping something in the image. Okay, so you can see after 29 directly it is jumping to 606, but then we have some records in between. So this is your IPL data. Okay, we got everything here. But I don't want to see all. So maybe I just want to be very specific. I just want first 5 or first 10. In this case, I can say IPL.head. And if you run this, you will see we got only 5 records. So by default, head will give you 5. But what if you want more? Maybe you want 10. In this case, you can say 10. It will give you top 10 records and whatever you want to enter there. So if you say 100, it will give you 100 records. Right? Maybe you want to see the size. So you don't have to print IPL to see the size. In that case, you can say IPL.shape. Should work, yeah. So when you say IPL.shape, it should give you the number of rows and number of columns. You can also filter the data here, okay? So if you don't want all the columns, you can filter it. Now, how do you do that? That's your assignment, right? Okay, now what I want is, I want to see, okay, let me just go back to Excel just to see what you can do here. So we have seasons. So you can see we have seasons 2017, 2008, 2009, 10, okay? And then we got cities where the match has happened. Then we have date. We have team 1, team 2 here. Then who won the toss, and what was the decision of the toss. Then we got result. We got DL applied. Okay, I hate that DL method anyway. Then we have winners. We got win by runs, win by wickets, player of the match. We can say man of the match. I don't know why they went with player of the match. We got venue, umpire 1, umpire 2, and then umpire 3, nothing mentioned. So you can see the umpire 3 is empty. That's a noise in our database, right? So you should be removing that, but that's fine. As of now, it works. So let me just go back to my notebook. And here I want to, let's say I want to count the man of the match. I just want to see how many man of the match Dhoni got. Since Dhoni is retired now, it's very, that was a very painful situation, right? Very painful day for me as well. I want to know all the players man of the match. So what you can do is you can say IPL. I don't want all. I want player of the match, not all data. So I will say player of match. And then I just want, so if you want to see the count, so you can say value counts. It will group the names and it will give you the value. Okay, let me show you that. Run, and you can see we got all records here. And Dhoni is where? It's here. So Dhoni got 13 man of the match in IPL till now, till 2018, I guess. It's old data. Most of the man of the match we got Chris Gayle. That's awesome. We all love to see Chris Gayle batting, right? And all the best players are here. Great. Raina also got retired on the same day. Okay, now, so that's how you get data, right? So it is skipping something in between because it's a huge amount of data, but all these people got only 1 man of the match. That's bad. Okay, so that's how you get the player of the match and how many player of the match they got, right? That's how you do it. And if you don't want all, you can specify what entries you want here. Maybe you don't want all. In that case, let's say want top 10. So you can specify, let's say 10. So from 0 to 10, okay, let me specify 0 as well so that it should not confuse you. So you can see we got top 10 records, just to have a simple output there, right? If you want 5, any guess what you can do? So you can specify, instead of 10, you can specify 5 here. So it will show only 5 records. Okay, now we can do something interesting here. What if you want to have the same thing, let's say for five players, top 5 players. So I want to plot the bars for this, okay? So in the x-axis, I want all the player names. In the y-axis, I want the number of player of the match or man of the match they got. Okay, how do we do that? So what you can do is, we want to plot it, right? So of course we have to use PLT. So you say plot dot figure. Okay, but then we also want to specify the size of it, because by default will give you a small size. Okay, let's go with the small size now, the default size which it gives you. And then we have to also specify what type of visualization we want. Maybe you want a bar or a pie chart. So you can say plot dot, we want a bar. And then this bar will take multiple values. Okay, the first thing you have to mention is the columns, right? Also the x-axis. So what you can do is you can specify the x-axis. You have to specify the list of values. So you will say list. And this list will be coming from IPL. So you will say IPL. But then we don't want all the IPL data. We want players of the match, player of, oh, what's happening to my keyboard? Player of match. And then we want to specify the value count, right? So you will say IPL data. Okay, we'll say value counts. And then we don't want all records. We want only 5, right? So we can specify that as well. So we can say 0:5. Okay, this works. But then this will print the both things, right? It will print the name and it will give you the value as well. So this is a key, right? This is unique. So key, so we'll mention keys here. So whenever you have two things, when you say group by, you will get a key and a value pair. So in this case, we want keys, nothing else. Okay, now once you got a list here, am I missing the extra column? Yeah. Okay, now once you got a list, I guess I have something wrong with the brackets. Yeah. Now once you got your the keys, so this will give you the the x-axis. I also want to focus on the y-axis, and the y-axis should be like a list, and it should be, I can just copy paste here. Since I'm lazy, I just don't want keys there, right? So we can remove that. I hope this will work. So I'm opening a bracket here and I'm closing. And this bracket always gives issues, right? And then once you got a plot, once you got the bar, let me just plot it. So I will say, sure. It should work, provided I'm not spoiling the open curly brackets. Something wrong with the open curly brackets. We got one closing here. Expected. Yeah. So you can see we got something wrong with the. Yeah. So you can see we got a bar. I was just looking at your chat there. A lot of people are saying a lot of different things today. Okay, anyway, so you can see we got a bar here. Now, this is interesting about a library of Matplotlib because it gives you the visual representation, right? So this is what you see in the cricket match, right? When you watch it, they show you the graph, and we love it. So this is your y-axis. So this is x-axis where you got all the names of the players, and then we got the number of man of the match they got. In fact, you can also change it by specifying the fixed size there. So you can specify 5,5. It will give a better image. But that's fine. You can try it out, and it should work. Now I want to know. Let's say go back. Let's say result. So in this result, I want to see how many wins were normal, how many wins were tie, or how many matches were tie, and then how many matches was cancelled because of rains or some other issues. So in this case, what I can do is I can just go back here and let's say I will say IPL, and I want to focus on result, right? So it's a result, and then I can do a value count there. What I will do is I will just stop my video so that you will get a full visualization of it. Okay, now once you run this code, you can see we got normal, which is 626 normal matches, normal wins, and then we got 7 ties and 3 with no results. Great. Now they say when you watch a cricket match like IPL, Mumbai Indians always used to win most of the matches, right? So they have won most of the titles of IPL. Now, one of the factor when people or the team wins is because of the toss, right? So I remember one of the season there was a thing whenever a team used to win. Uh, Whenever a team used to win the match, it was because of the toss. So whoever wins the toss, they used to win the matches. So let's see which team. So let's find out the number of tosses wins per each team. So which team got a lot of toss? So in this case, I will say IPL, and here I will say toss winner. I guess that's the column name. Let's find out here. That's the column name. So we got toss winner here. And then we'll say value underscore counts, and let's see. Let's find out. So that's the answer. You can see Mumbai Indians, as I expected. Mumbai Indians won most of the tosses, right? And then we got KKR. Unfortunately, they were still losing, and it hurts to see RCB winning a lot of tosses but losing the matches, right? Okay, now this is what I'm talking about. So when you filter your data, it's important to have all the data. So you can see that there's a noise here. We got two keys with the same, they're the same team, but then because of spelling mistake, we got two different values. So this is a part of the data cleaning which you do, right? Okay. So let's say the next example we can do here is, let me just think about it. Maybe we can do for the batting team. So we want to see, so we want to extract the records where the team won batting first. And in my childhood, when I used to watch cricket, I used to always feel that if India is winning a toss, it should first choose to bat, right? And then Kohli changed the formula for us, right? So in our Indian team wins more matches when they are not there when they're fielding first. But let's say I want to see the batting first. So we'll say batting first. Now, how do I know which team batted first? In this case, what you can do is if the wins by run is more than 0, that means they batted first and won, right? So in this case, I can say IPL. I want to perform the operation, right? So I want IPL data. So I can say IPL win by runs. Win by runs. And I want to compare this. I want to say not equal to 0. I hope this is the right operation. Let me just run this. Yeah. Okay. So this will give me all the teams which won by batting first. And let me say batting first. I just want to print the head, the top 5 values. And you can see this team, which team batted first? It is your Sunrisers, and they win. Great. So we got the right formula. This team batted Okay, this team batted first, and they got the winner. Okay, so this is right. So we got all the records where the team batted first wins. Okay, that's great. Now I want to show this in a histogram. Okay, just want to see. Or maybe I want to say win by runs. So you can see this. I remember the first match of IPL where I guess I forgot the player name. Brendan. Yeah, Ben McCallum. Yeah. So when McCallum scored a very big number, I guess 158, and then the team won by 140 runs, and it should be there in this record as well somewhere, right? So I want to show the number of runs by when they win. So in this case, I can say PLT dot. Since I want a figure, I can say figure, and in this bracket, let's go with the default values. And this time I don't want to create a bar. I want to create a histogram. So I will say hist, but I want to create a histogram for win by runs. So I would say batting first, and the column I want to focus is win by runs. Because sometimes it's not just about winning, it's about how many runs, by how many runs you won. Okay. And that's the diagram. So you can see we got one team or two teams winning more than 140. That's great. And then we got a lot of team winning by 100. Okay, that's how you can plot it. I want to see now the number of wins with respect to each team batting first. I guess it should be Mumbai Indians again. They love to bat first. That's the Rohit Sharma strategy, right? Bat first and win the matches. So I will say batting first, and we'll specify winner. Let's count the value. So how do you count the value? By grouping. So you say value counts. Let's see if that works. Run. Yeah. So you can see Mumbai Indians is on the first again. And then we got Super Kings, and then again there's a problem here. So this is 7, I guess. Yeah, 7. And yeah, and then again Deccan Charges, and you can just club them because these are the same team. That's the data cleaning part which you do before doing the operations. Okay. Anyway, so that's how you can perform different operations. You can play with it. Let me also get a pie chart here, because since we're doing it, let's get a pie chart and let's see the winning ratio for batting first. Okay. For that, we need to again create a figure. And then this time, I don't want to create a specify. In fact, let's specify only one here. So I want to pass a list of batting first, and by batting first, they are the winners. That's important, and I want to have a value count. Let's see if this is plotting it. Yes, we got a plotting here, but we got different values. Why we got a value here? Is there a bracket which is missing anywhere? Oh, okay. I forgot to do one thing, which is plt dot show. Oh, now this is proper. So you can see we've got a pie chart here, right? But then this pie chart is not making any sense. If you can see, we got a pie chart, but where is the team? I mean, when you say orange color, which team it belongs to? When you say blue color, which team it belongs to? So we also need a team name here around, right? So for that, what you can do is you can specify the label. Now, how do we do that? It's very simple. So you just come here and give a comma, and you say labels. I want to also have a label here. Now, whatever label I want, again, it should be a list of batting. In fact, I can just copy paste, since I'm so lazy nowadays. What I can do is labels is the list, same list. Paste it here, but then I only want keys. Now, one of the questions I saw in the chat is why we require keys, because keys will give you the names, right? So names are unique. Now it should work. We got a label as well. So you can see this is how you specify the labels, and you got all your labels here. Now it's just that the graph is so clumsy because of this, we have all this mixed up here. So we can increase the size of it by saying fixed size. Fixed size equal to what size I want. Maybe I can say 10, so that it will have a bigger size. Yeah, now this looks better, right? So we got pie with, now at least you can see this text here. Great, but then I also want to see the percentage here, right? So whenever you see a pie chart, you normally see the percentages there, right? Now, how will you get a percentage? So for that, you need to specify one more parameter here, which is auto percentage equal to, we can specify, let's say, percentage O 0. I want to specify, let's say, only 1 point. So I will say 1F. So that's a floating point representation which you got here. Let's run this, and you can see we got the points as well, right? It's that simple. In fact, you can do the same experiments by finding who batted second. You can draw the things, and You can do a lot of different operations here. Right. So that's the operation you can perform using Numpy, Pandas, and Matplotlib. I know we had a lot of things in this 1 hour. Difficult to remember all, but I'm sure we can share this file with you. Let me just talk to my team with Great Learning, and then we can find a way to share this data file and the codes with you so that you can experiment on your machines. So make sure that you practice this. This is the basics of it. But again, you will not be a master of data science just by learning these libraries. So that's your first step, right? So once you know Python, master these libraries, and then you can think about getting to data science, right? So we have, you need to also learn statistics, probability, then domain knowledge as well. A lot of different algorithms are there. You have to learn that, and then you can call yourself as a data scientist. Good. In fact, I have seen a lot of people, they just learn different libraries. Like for machine learning, we have different libraries. For data science, we have different libraries. See, learning libraries will not give you everything. You have to also need to understand how do you make a change to a library? How do you do some tweaks so that it will be suitable for your project, right? Let me just stop my screen share now. Let me just show you everything just in a quick glance. So if you want to use Pandas, that's how you import it. If you want to use Matplotlib, that's how you import it. And if you want to read a CSV, this is how you do it. If you want to read Excel, read Excel. And we have used different functions here. We got head, which will give you top values. We can also use tail here, which will give you end values. If you want to see the shape of your data set, you can do that. And yeah, that's how you do plot a bar, that's how you plot a histogram, that's how you plot a pie chart. And that's it. Now it's time to pick up questions. So let me just stop sharing my screen. And let me just pick up some questions from here. Where are the questions? Yeah, here it is. Okay, so what is Seaborn? As I mentioned before, so we have different libraries for plotting. We have Matplotlib and we have Seaborn. So basically using Seaborn, we can visualize data, but then it is built on Matplotlib. So it provides more features. It's more efficient than Matplotlib. Okay, next question. Can we use Python in competitive programming? Of course, it's one of the most used language for competitive programming. So you can use that. Okay, next question is, are Pandas, Numpy, and Matplotlib libraries open source libraries? So this question is from Ashwin. Ashwin, the answer is yes, they all are open source. And that's why it is more famous. So nowadays, if you see a library famous, there's a 99% chance that it is open source. Okay, next question from Avinash. What is a numerical data set? Okay, so numerical data set will be continuous numerical columns. So it will not be having categorical columns there. Okay, next question is, yeah. What's your opinion? So this question is from Adam, and the question is, what is your opinion about R versus Python in data science? Okay, that's interesting, right? Because see, even if you work with Jupyter Notebook, you will see two options. Whenever you go to Kaggle, you will see multiple options. The thing is, R and Python both are great language, and see, Python has multiple implementations. There you can use it in a lot of different places. Have you ever seen a website built on R language? No, right? So R is specifically made for statistics. In fact, as per the history, there was a language called S, which is for statistics, and then there are two founders. Both had a same surname. They both had the last name started with R, so they went with a new language called R, which is a better language than S. So it is mostly used for statistics. But then Python is used everywhere, and for machine learning as well, it is highly preferred. Okay. Question from Ashik, and the question is image processing related to or come under data processing? Image processing comes under computer vision, so you can check that. Okay, where are the questions? Okay, question from Manpreet is, do we need to learn web API or web development for data science? Not needed, because in data science, you're focusing more on data. But yes, if you want to build the end-to-end application, of course, why not? But it is not required. So if you just want to be data scientist, focus on Python, focus on libraries, focus on the maths part of it, but not needed. Web development is not needed. But again, it's a good to have skill. Okay, question from Gaurav. Sai Gaurav is, does Python have any paid libraries? I don't think so. Most of the libraries are free. So even if it is paid, it's not famous. So maybe there are some companies who are paying for libraries, but most of them are open source. Okay. Question from Avinash: how to use Pandas, Numpy, Matplotlib in Python IDE? Okay. See, whatever we have done in Jupyter Notebook, you can still use it everywhere, wherever you have Pandas and Matplotlib. It is irrespective of which IDE you're using. Okay, great. Okay, that's it then. So that's about this session. I will wait for 1 more minute for more questions, which I can pick up. I can see a lot of you have just chatted. It's not the actual question. Okay. Okay, that's it, everyone. That's it from this session. But one important thing is coming up: the winners for the courses, right? So 5 lucky winners will get the courses. I'm just waiting for my team to get the winner's name. Let me see if I got the winners. So whoever has attended from start to end and was engaged in the chatting, and then so they will be winning the courses. Let's see. I'm waiting for my team to get the winners. Okay, great. Anything else I want to talk about? Let me pick up some more questions till the time we got winners. Okay, I guess there's some issue with the database which we have. Maybe they will be mailing you the winner names. That is fine. Okay, no issue. So once the session gets over, we'll be announcing the winners in the description area once the database problem is solved. So we are facing some database server issue. So you will find the winners in the description area after some time, and there will be a link. When you click it, you will find the winner names, or maybe you directly there will be a link. That's what I got to know. So I hope you enjoyed this session. Make sure that you hit that like button and make sure you subscribe to the channel for more updates, because every day you will get amazing videos on this platform. And then we are planning to launch a lot of free courses and paid courses as well. That's it, everyone. Bye-bye. Thanks for watching.